The fork in my hand froze halfway to my mouth, spaghetti sauce dripping like blood onto the white plate, as Sarah's voice cracked the quiet of our kitchen. I need to tell you something about our daughter. 15 years of marriage had taught me her tones the way sailors read tides. This one carried the low, dangerous rumble of a storm that had been gathering offshore for months. I set the fork down with a clink that sounded too loud in the sudden silence. Mia, our 14-year-old, was upstairs, headphones on, probably dissecting some pop song with the same forensic intensity she brought to everything. The house smelled of garlic and basil, the ordinary perfume of Friday nights, but the air between us had turned metallic, like the moment before lightning. Sarah's fingers worried the stem of her wine glass. She hadn't taken a sip. Promise me you'll hear the whole thing before you speak. I nodded, throat already closing. Promises felt flimsy, but I gave it anyway. She drew a breath that seemed to pull all the oxygen from the room. Mia isn't yours. Biologically. The words detonated inside my skull, yet the kitchen stayed intact. Same yellow light over the table, same dog-eared calendar on the fridge showing October's jack-o'-lantern grin. My heart, though, fractured along fault lines I hadn't known existed. I stared at the woman I'd loved since we were 23, the one who used to steal the blankets and laugh in her sleep, and felt the floor tilt. Say that again, I whispered. Sarah's eyes glistened, but she didn't look away. Senior year of college. You were in Afghanistan for 8 months. I was lonely, stupid, drunk one night at a party. It was one time, David. One. I thought the timing lined up with your leave in March, but... She pressed her knuckles to her mouth. The math never quite worked. I buried it. Told myself if I loved her hard enough, the lie would turn true. I stood so fast the chair legs screeched against tile. My reflection in the dark window looked like a stranger, face slack, eyes wild. You let me raise her. Every fever, every spelling bee, every goddamn bedtime story. My voice cracked like ice on a pond. You let me believe she was mine. I know. A tear slid down her cheek, but she didn't wipe it away. I was terrified. You were so proud when the stick turned pink. You cried in the drugstore parking lot. How could I take that from you? The memory punched me. Kneeling on hot asphalt, her hand trembling in mine, both of us laughing through tears because the future had suddenly become real. I'd carried that moment like a talisman through every deployment, every sleepless night of colic, every teenage eye roll. Now it curdled. Upstairs a door slammed. Mia's music leaked faintly through the ceiling. Some synth beat that felt obscene in its cheerfulness. I pictured her long legs sprawled across the bed, earbuds in, oblivious that her entire origin story was unraveling 15 feet below. Who? The question scraped out of me. Sarah's shoulders curled inward. Does the name matter? It matters to me. She closed her eyes. Ethan Caldwell. He transferred senior year. We hooked up once. He left for California right after graduation. Never knew. Ethan Caldwell. I'd seen a photo once, Sarah's old yearbook, a cocky grin under tousled blonde hair. I'd teased her about her type. The joke tasted like rust now. I paced the length of the kitchen, 3 strides to the sink, 3 back. The calendar mocked me. Tomorrow was Mia's orthodontist appointment. I promised to drive. Would I still? Could I look at her braces, her freckles, the tiny scar on her chin from the playground fall at 6, and not search for a stranger's ghost? Sarah watched me, hands twisted so tightly her knuckles blanched. I took a test last month. One of those ancestry kits. Curiosity, I told myself. The results came yesterday. She laughed, a broken sound. 23 and me doesn't lie. I stopped pacing. You knew for a month and waited until pasta night? I was waiting for the right moment. There is no right moment, David. The truth of that landed heavy. I sank back into the chair, elbows on knees, head in my hands. My wedding ring glinted under the light white gold, scratched from years of fixing bikes and building forts. I'd added a second band after Mia was born. A thin circle etched with her tiny footprint. Sarah had surprised me with it in the hospital. I twisted it now, feeling the indentation of that footprint like a brand. What happens now? My voice sounded distant, like someone else asking. Sarah leaned forward, reaching, but I flinched. Her hand hovered, then fell. I don't know. I love you. I love our life. But I won't ask you to keep carrying a lie. Stop saying our life like it's still ours. The words tasted bitter, but they were honest. You built this on quicksand. Silence pooled between us, thick and accusatory. Outside, wind rattled the gutters. Inside, the refrigerator hummed its oblivious song. I thought of Mia's baby book upstairs. First smile at 6 weeks. First word da at 10 months. First steps toward me in the living room while Sarah clapped behind the camera. Every milestone, every photo, now felt like evidence in a trial I hadn't known I was part of. Footsteps thumped overhead. Sarah's gaze flicked to the ceiling, panic flaring. She can't hear this. Not yet. I stood again, legs unsteady. Then what do we do? Pretend tonight never happened? No, Sarah's voice steadied, surprising me. We tell her together. When we're calm. When we know what we're saying. Calm. I laughed, a sound like tearing paper. I'm a grenade with the pin half out. She rose too, stepping close enough that I smelled her shampoo. Same coconut since college. Then let me hold the pin until you're ready. I wanted to shove her away. I wanted to pull her close and sob into her neck like the night my father died. The impulses warred so fiercely I stood frozen. In the end I did neither. I walked past her up the stairs, each step a countdown. Mia's door was ajar. Light spilling into the hallway in a warm rectangle. Pushed it open. She lay on her stomach, feet kicking the air, scrolling on her phone. When she saw me, she tugged one earbud out. Dad? You okay? You look weird. My throat closed. I studied her. The slope of her nose, the way her hair frizzed at the crown exactly like mine after swimming. Was that genetics or just 15 years of shared humidity? I wanted to memorize her before the truth rewrote the map. Just checking on you, kiddo. My voice cracked on the nickname. Love you. She gave me a puzzled smile. Love you too. Mom burned dinner again. Something like that. I closed the door softly, leaned my forehead against the cool wood. Downstairs I heard Sarah crying, quiet, muffled sobs that still carried through the vents. I slid down the wall until I sat on the carpet, knees to chest, and let the tears come. They were hot, angry, grief-stricken things that tasted of garlic and betrayal. Hours later, the house settled into its nighttime creaks. I hadn't moved. Sarah appeared at the top of the stairs, eyes swollen, holding 2 mugs. Chamomile, our insomnia ritual. She set one beside me without speaking. Steam curled between us like a fragile bridge. I booked a session with Dr. Patel for tomorrow, she said. Couples and individual. We'll need help navigating this. I stared at the mug. And Mia. We tell her when we have a plan. Not before. I nodded, the smallest motion. The tea trembled in my hands. Somewhere inside, a part of me still loved the woman offering it. Another part wanted to smash the mug against the wall and watch the shards scatter like our future. Sarah sat beside me, not touching, close enough to feel her warmth. I know I don't deserve forgiveness, she whispered. But I'm asking for time. For Mia. For whatever pieces of us are worth saving. I didn't answer. Couldn't. The hallway clock ticked toward midnight. Each second a question mark. Down the hall, Mia dreamed, unaware that her world had already cracked open. I sipped the tea. It tasted like nothing and everything, 15 years of Friday nights, of scraped knees and prom dress shopping, of a love so deep it had blinded me to the fault line running straight through it. Outside, the wind died. Inside, the storm was just beginning.